Hi. What I want to talk about today is sort of the basic overview of things you have to do to get your course ready. Now, there's a series of videos that come after this that will walk you through the steps, but this is kind of the gist, the overview of what I've been doing in the workshops this past month to sort of inform you what the process is and some of the questions we have. I will be having some more workshops on the conversion, but we don't really go step by step through the conversion process in those workshops. We go over what I'm going to do here, which is going through these steps that are on the migration site and answering questions. So please, if you have any questions at the end of this video and watching the other videos, I would suggest watching the other videos first. Feel free to email me, call me, and we can help you work this stuff out. But it's pretty simple. So let's jump in and we'll take a look at things. Now, if this is the first video you've been watching, this is the Blackboard migration site that has a blog where we talk about migration items. It has the timeline in case you're unsure when this is all happening. Here are your tutorials. There's a video tutorial, playlist, and if you click over on the side here, you can watch all the videos in it, and it walks you through all the steps that you need to do to convert your course. There's also printed versions of it as well. There's a migration facts section that we have a bunch of questions, some that I've culled from other websites of schools that have done conversions, and others are just questions that you've asked me and then I've gone ahead and put in here. Under workshops, this is where all the workshops will be listed that you can register for, and you just click on here and register, and it tells you what time they are and when they are. And then the last link is learning more about Blackboard. We will, of course, be having classes in how to use Blackboard. But if you want to get a jump on that and see what it's like, you can go down to Blackboard resources and click on some of these YouTube videos. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Preparing Your Angel course for Blackboard migration document. Again, this is what we go over in the workshop, and we'll go over it right here for you now. The first step in the process is telling us what classes you want to convert over to Blackboard. Now, there's been some questions. I've got 5 or 6 classes. What classes do I bring over? I don't teach in the summer and fall. I teach in the spring. Can I bring those over? The answer to that last one, of course, is yes. So here's what we've been telling people. Let's say you have 5 classes and you teach them, summer, fall, spring, or you just teach in the spring. Go ahead and list the classes in the help desk ticket that you want converted. Go ahead and list all of them. And in this way, we know and we can create this migrate shelf for you. Now, what classes do you then bring over? Obviously, I would say bring over the current class. For example, I've taught a Comp 316 class. Since I've been here, I'm not going to probably copy over the first one I ever did. I'm going to copy over the latest one because I think it's probably the best one of the versions. So copy over the most current or the best version of your course. Now, there has been a little bit of confusion when I say that when you put a ticket in to tell us what classes you want to migrate, we'll create the migration shell and what that all means. Now, what that means is, again, you put a ticket in using the ticket system, and once you put that ticket in, we will then create an empty migrate shell for you. So, for example, I would say I want Comp 316, Media Communications, Spring 2013 converted. Carol will then create a empty shell in Angel for you that will be something like, Comp 316, blah, 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 hyphen, migrate. And that's empty. It's an empty folder. Then it is your responsibility to follow these steps that we're going to go over and that are in the videos to actually convert your class and do these little tweaks and changes. So we will create the empty shell, and then it is up to you then to copy the class over into that empty shell and do some of this work on it. Okay, so like I said earlier, the first step is to actually put the ticket in. So you go to the help desk, logins right here, and there's a video for pretty much every step in here. We're not going to go over all those, but this is just sort of to get you knowing what you're going to be doing. And then you can watch those other videos and call with questions or email. So you put a ticket in, you tell us the classes you want. Again, if you've got 5 classes you want to transfer over, put those 5 classes in. Do you have to do them all before the summer? Well, the ones that you obviously are going to be teaching in the summer and the fall, yes. But if it's a spring one, you have a little bit of time to work on that. So you don't have to get all worked up over that. You can sort of go along as you convert them as you go along. But if you have the time, go ahead and get them done. Now, the whole cleaning process. Now, most of this stuff is just that. It's house cleaning. It's so that when you bring the class over, there's less things you have to do when you're in Blackboard. Some of the things, though, can actually cause a few little problems and hiccups if you bring that class over. So we're going to go through that. Now, the first step before you do anything is to back up your class. Now, I'm going to be using Com316 as an example throughout this. So I would go to the Com316 class that I want to migrate. I would then back that up and download it. Now I've got a copy. It's saved, nothing's going to happen to it. Okay? Then what you're going to do is you're actually going to copy that class, so I would copy 316, into that empty migrate shell Carol created. So I will copy everything from the class that I've taught, Com316, into the Com316-migrate shell. And then I will do this cleaning process inside of the copy. So then you've always got your original class. You're not doing anything to that. You're only working on the copy. Now, the first thing you want to look for are any tests, discussions, Dropbox assignments, or private folders you've got set invisible so that students can't see them or whatnot, that you're not going to use anymore or you haven't used in a long time and you don't think you're ever going to use again. Delete those. For example, there's a class that I used to give a quiz a week in. And those quizzes are still in that class, but I've got them set for invisible, so nobody can see them. I don't use those anymore, and I am not going to use those anymore. So I deleted that folder, so that when it goes over into Blackboard, it's not there. And if I did not delete it and it went over, what would happen is all those quizzes, those assignments would show up in my grade book or grade center that's over in Blackboard. And I don't need to clutter that up. I don't want to clutter it up, so I get rid of them. Can you get rid of those assignments in Blackboard? Yes, but I have heard some things where sometimes you can't hide them since you've brought them over. So if you can get rid of them, get rid of them. If they are in Blackboard and you can't hide them, is it going to screw things up? No, it's just, a little bit more of a convoluted. Convoluted is not the word I'm looking for. It's cluttered. A little bit more of a cluttered grade center. So get rid of them if you can. Now this next step, the lore, and that's right here, this lore, that is part of Angel, and I will log in, which I should have done before, but I'll log in. The lore is the learning object repository, and it's right in here. Here's my personal lore, and in it I have some folders of older classes. Now, sort of think of it as like a little cloud, a little hard drive for yourself, a little personal storage space in Angel. Now, you can actually copy items from your lore into your class, and you can link items from your lore into your class. And here's where the problem comes in. If you copy something to a class, you're totally fine. So let's say you've got a folder and you keep your contact information in there, and it's the same for every class, so you copy it out of your lore and you put it into the class. When we do the migration of this class over to Blackboard, that will transfer with it because you've copied it. Now, some people link. So what they do is they actually just put a link in their live class to their lore. What are the benefits of that? Well, like I said, let's say I have this contact folder, information folder. If I link to that in 4 classes from my lore, if I need to make a change, I go to my lore and I change it, and then it will change it in all my other classes because it's linked. So it's pretty powerful. The problem is that link does not transfer in the migration. So if you've linked to it, that link gets broken. Will the folder still show up in Blackboard? I'm pretty sure it does. But if you click on it, it would be a dead link. So if you have things that you've got in your lore that you're linked to, what you can do is, and what I would suggest is, copying them from your lore into your class. So you don't link them anymore, you copy them in, and then you're safe. Now some of these other ones, and some of these next few, are sort of copy related and maybe even syllabus related to the class. For example, number 4, removing references to Angel. So let's say in your syllabus you reference Angel, or let's say in the class you say Angel is our LMS system, go to Angel, those type of things. That's just going to confuse students. So, maybe do look through your syllabuses or syllabi and do a search for Angel, and then, do a search replace with Blackboard. This way, it's all cleaned up. This one's a little trickier in that we're still working on our naming conventions. Number 5, it says make a list of areas that contain navigation instructions. Now, what do I mean by that? Best example is, let's say you use Collaborate a lot in class, and you say to your students, go to the Communicate tab and then head over, and I'll just go over to the class here, go to the Communicate tab and head over to, I just did that, to the Collaborate tab. Well, there is no Communicate tab, and there's no Collaborate panel or tab in Blackboard. They use something called menu links. Okay? So those types of wordings will have to be changed. Now, here's the problem. Like I stated earlier, we're still working on the terminology, what we're going to call things. Will we set up a communication link, or will we call it communication? So you can't really change that stuff now. But what I would suggest is maybe highlighting any copy in the Angel migration shell that you're working on, the cleaning shell you're working on, maybe highlighting it a specific color, so then you need to go back and change that, or maybe making notes on a pad. Now, some people aren't going to have to worry about this at all, but if you're you're good with giving the students instructions and where they need to go and what they need to do, and you really add that a lot through your classes, then this one might take you a little bit of time. A smaller one here is remove any tokens. So let's say you use a token. This is a very popular one right here, so that when the student logs in and says, hello, Kevin, welcome to the class, Blackboard doesn't use these tokens. So what you could do is just get rid of those. The next one, that one is a little bit of a problem with me. There are ways around this, and I might as well tell you what it is first before I start talking about the problems it incurs. The Blackboard does not have subtitles. So now when you're in a class, let's say you go to a class, and yes, I do want to go home, and we look at an older class. Watch, I probably didn't use them here, and I did a little bit. So here's your subheads. Okay. Now, they don't exist in Blackboard. So if you've got these dates in here, you can't have them there. So again, in your class that you're working on your cleaning, what you could do is you could copy this and add it after the title. Okay? Or you could do something like, you could copy this, go to settings for the folder itself, and put it in there, bold it maybe, and then save, and then now you can see where, I'll show you what that looks like. Now it's up here, so you can add that information to the inside of the folder, however you want to do it, but just know that these subheads aren't over in Blackboard. They will just strip them from there. So that's why I'm saying work in Angel cleaning the class up, because once this goes over to Blackboard, this just won't be there. So if you needed the text or you needed to know what that said, it will not show up when you're over in Blackboard. Yes, could you keep going back and forth and looking at your Angel class? Yes, but I think it would be easier just to clean it here. Now, this isn't so much a change within your Angel class that you're cleaning. It is in some ways, again, if you're using terminology like go to communicate, to send an email, that isn't going to be there. But here's a little, just a little bit of information how Blackboard handles mail. They have two ways of doing it. One is using Blackboard messages, it's called. And you could think of that as like course mail. Like we have Angel course mail. So think of it as course mail. It is communications that stay within Blackboard. It's just like we have with Angel, pretty much. Now, some faculty like that. They like to keep all their messages within there, and they can do that, obviously. The other way Blackboard has to communicate is using sort of like an external email app or an external email program, where when you you click on a link, and we're still coming up with the name of it, I'm thinking external mail, it will bring up a email client. You will search for the student's name, pretty much like you do now. Put the student name in there, type your email, hit send. When you hit send there, it takes it right out of the LMS, right out of Blackboard, and it will email it to their school email account. And they will get it there. Then when they reply, it gets sent to your school account. And then back and forth. It's totally separate from the LMS. It's not in Blackboard. There isn't even a record of you sending the email through Blackboard. So we're looking at seeing some faculty want one way. I know some faculty want the other way. Some don't want both. So we're going to look into seeing if we can have it so that you can turn one or the other off if you want, which I'm pretty sure we can. So we're looking into that. But why would you need to worry about this now? You know, maybe in your syllabus you specify how you want the class to communicate with you. Do you want it only through course mail? Do you want it through your school account? How do you want that? Do you mention how communication happens in the class itself? You'd want to change that. We're going to skip over 9 because I'm actually looking into that right now. There's some changes with that. Now the next few deal with discussions. And they're not huge, but they can save you some headaches. So currently now, when you do a post in a discussion, you use new post. Instead of new post now, it's actually called create thread. So in all my discussions, in the body of it, I will say, click on new post and do this. You know, help the students know where they're supposed to go. Well, if you have click on new post, many of them are going to send you an email saying, I don't see new post, and without bothering doing this. So this would help you sort of save you some headaches with emails. There's also a way in Blackboard, and we'll be doing more of this when we talk about Blackboard and showing you how to use Blackboard. But there's a different view. There's a tree view that you can use when you're in a Blackboard discussion that makes it look more like the Angel discussion. I personally like how the new discussions look in Blackboard, so you may not even want to do this. This is also, some of these are just sort of giving you some heads up on some differences that are going to happen. If you are really, a big discussion user, if you want to get a jump on that, if you're starting to worry about that, this link right here is probably one of the best videos I've seen for Blackboard discussions. Probably because I haven't made my own yet, but I'm sure I'm just going to probably steal half of what this guy says, because this is just a great video. So watch that if you're really curious about discussions and you're getting a little nervous about them. But there's not, just to belay your fears, there's nothing to be nervous about. They work pretty much the same. They just look a little bit different, and if anything, the grading is so much easier. So don't panic. I didn't mean to make you think that there was something wrong with the discussions in Blackboard. Lastly, we'll just take a look at a few things here. Now, there's some more terminology, but these are your major ones, differences. In Angel, they're called, they use something called nuggets, where how you can add something to your home page of your class. In Blackboard, they're called modules. Tabs for navigation, those top tabs we talked about. right here. And in Blackboard, they use course menu links. Okay, and they're actually on the side, down the side. We have Gradebook. They have Grade Center. So it's just, that's an easy change. Grade Scale, an A plus is a 90 to whatever is the grade schema. One of the major sort of naming differences that we'll have to get used to is Dropbox. They aren't called Dropboxes, they're just called assignments. So when a student uploads something, they don't upload it to the Dropbox, they just upload it to the assignment. So if you use the word Dropbox a lot, you're going to need to change that. I tend to use that in my descriptions of folders sometimes. See, newspaper Dropbox. I can get rid of that. It doesn't need to say that. And here are the terms pretty much in Blackboard Learn. They're almost exactly the same, except for what we talked about as far as the new thread. So there seems like a bunch of things, 12 things, 13 things, but they're really simple fixes. There's some things that you could do, especially if you've got a class where you're using this class, let's say, as a repository for files, and then the student just uploads work to it, or if it's just a repository for files, you might not have to do any of these things. So this could either take 2 or 3 hours or 2 or 3 minutes. I might be exaggerating with the 2 or 3 minutes, but I've heard and talked to faculty that are kind of nervous about this, and it's a really easy process. And of course, anytime you have any questions or any kind of concerns, email me, volok@sunit.edu, or give me a call. My extension is, I'm looking over at the phone, 7167, and I'll answer any questions I can. Your questions that you ask me through email and on the phone, I'll actually put in the migration facts for other people. And that's what some of these are that you can look at. And I actually wanted to add one more thing to this video. I just kind of realized as I was talking to some faculty member the other day that they've never actually seen Blackboard. And although we don't have an instance for it yet at the school, it won't be until February or March, because we'll be developing and building it. I do have a practice shell where I can be working on things for our shell. And this is sort of a basic look of Blackboard. It'll of course say different things up here, but this is the Open SUNY support site that my classes are listed in. So it has a home page, sort of just like Angel, but I think a lot cleaner. And it has your course lists on the side. And I'll just go into a class. Actually, let me go into a class where I've got some more stuff. Is it my practice course that I was working on? Yeah. So now I'm in my practice course. This, of course, would list your course, and you've got your modules here. You've got your announcements, my tasks, what's new that you can change. What these are, and then you've got, this is your side menu. This is what we talked about. It's not up top, it's on the side menu links. Okay, and this isn't sort of written in stone over here right now, so this is in flux. These are some of the things we're working on setting up, looking at exemplar classes, best practices, and input from the Blackboard user group and the Blackboard migration and from faculty. So we're getting input from everyone we can on this. But you can click on your content, and here's your modules. And again, I'm fooling around with different ways that we can do things in here, like not having a graphic, having a graphic. So as you can see, you can sort of still add graphics. You can't have little icons. You can't change these, and I don't really want to get into too deep on Blackboard, but you can do little things like adding icons and images to the overall graphic. So it's pretty, it's a clean interface. It's a pretty nice looking interface, to me at least. we come in here, here's our folders, here's everything we had before, our assignments. Here's where you build your content. Let's say you wanted to add a new item or a file or a folder. Same types of things that we add in Angel. So there's not a huge amount of differences here. As we scroll down, we see course management items. And this is called the control panel, and you can drop this down. So you've got your content collection, which we'll go over all these things, obviously, when we're looking at teaching this. But I kind of want to just give everybody a little bit of a, take a look at this. Grade Center. So here's the Grade Center. Obviously, I don't have any grades in there yet. This is just a test class, but it's all, you know, set up in your management area. Go back to the home page, and this is what the class is. This is what Blackboard is. There's ways to customize things that we'll look at. Here's a discussion. So organize the thread. Here's my instructions. They click create a thread, and they go ahead and do their discussion or the icebreaker, and they go ahead and do what we tell them to in this area right here. And there's other areas you can add it. Again, this is me just sort of fooling around building a class. And we're going to obviously cover all these things and show you how to work your class and, you know, the best way to set up your modules and build them and get them out there to the class. So this is Blackboard. It doesn't have to be these colors. We're working on all that. So don't look at it and go, oh my God, I don't like that color. This is all in flux. I just wanted to give you a little bit of a sense of what Blackboard looked like in case you hadn't seen it. So thanks a lot for watching the video. Again, if you have any questions, call or email. I would suggest that you look through all the videos in the video tutorials first, because that'll probably answer your questions. If not, again, contact me. But the first thing you need to do is to go to the SUNY Help Desk and put in a ticket and tell us what classes you want a migrate folder for. Again, we create the blank migrate folder based on the classes you ask for. Then it's up to you to actually copy that content into those empty shells and do the cleaning process. But first steps first, go to helpdesk.sunyit.edu and put a ticket in today. Thanks.